Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going hunting for Vigoroth in the Sunshine Cup with Decidueye. If you've played any games of Sunshine Cup, you know Vigoroth is absolutely everywhere. You cannot escape that Pokemon. And the good news is, Decidueye is Vigoroth's worst nightmare. The grass ghost typing means it either single or double resists everything Vigoroth has, and you can just Razor Leaf it fully down without committing a shield and leave with close to a Brave Bird to threaten their next Pokemon. So without further ado, let's up for the matches, and let's check out Decidueye destroying Vigoroth in the Sunshine Cup. Hopping into the first match, picking up a tough lead Magcargo into Gligar. Gligar can hit the entire team for at least super effective damage, so it's a bit of an awkward Pokemon for this team to see, but with teamwork, it is beatable. They go for the dig, they save switch into Vigoroth, and the opponent has made a crucial mistake as in comes Decidueye. Decidueye can tank whatever they throw. Bulldoze, single resisted. Body Slam, that's double resisted. And Decidueye is going to get to Brave Bird whatever the opponent sends in, which is probably going to be the Gligar. I'm going to want to Brave Bird as soon as I get it here to minimize the amount of farm that the Gligar is going to get. Decidueye hits extremely hard, so they will have to respect the Brave Bird with a shield. They're going to get the farm down here. I have energy on Magcargo, so I'm going to fire off the Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb will not get the KO, but it lowers their attack, and in the back, my opponent is running Blaziken. Blaziken may be a fire type, but it is also a fighting type, and due to that fighting subtyping, it is getting absolutely shredded by the air slashes from Tropius. Tropius is going to fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade will not get the KO, but that allows me to get an extra air slash of energy. In comes the Gligar. Gligar can go for the Aerial Ace, but Tropius is extremely bulky. Tropius able to withstand that damage, no problem, and this Leaf Blade is going to be forcing the final shield from the opponent. Opponent kind of needs to farm down to win here, and they're just not going to be able to do that. They're forced to fire off energy, and they're not going to be able to outpace Magcargo. In comes Magcargo, and Magcargo makes it to the Rock Tomb, so despite seeing a Core Breaker on the lead, we're able to get the win. Moving into the next match, leading Magcargo into Pidgeot, the dream lead. If there's a Pidgeot on the lead, we already know there's going to be a Vigoroth safe switch. That's part of why I really like running this team, is there's a lot of teams structured around like a flyer lead with a Vigoroth safe switch. And this team just completely destroys those teams. Decidueye, again, is going to get the full farm down here. As long as you switch in a decently fast manner, they're never going to make two Bulldozes, so you get the full farm down here, and now Decidueye is going to get to Brave Bird the Pidgeot. While this does not one-shot, this does a lot of damage. Brave Bird connects, Pidgeot now very close to the red. In comes Magcargo, and it's a Blaziken in the back. And oh my goodness, we are just absolutely feasting on these Vigoroth safe switch teams. Blast Burn from the Blaziken will be shielded, and the opponent resigns the match. Moving into the next match, we see another Vigoroth, but this time it's on the lead, meeting our Magcargo. I'm going to save switch into Tropius. Anytime you lose the lead with this team, Tropius will always be the save switch, and the opponent sends out Steelix. Not a great matchup for Tropius. Steelix can win all even shielding scenarios here if you're running Air Slash on the Tropius, so I was a bit surprised when the opponent shielded my first Leaf Blade. However, their plan is going to be to throw a couple Breaking Swipes, farm all the way down afterwards, and then they can make it to an Earthquake versus the Magcargo and get the shield right back. So even though this is not a great matchup for Tropius, still not a bad position to be in, just purely based off the fact that due to the debuff spam, this is not a great matchup for Decidueye either. So it's pretty good to bait out the Steelix, and Steelix is going for their plan here, throwing a couple Breaking Swipes and looking to farm all the way down. I fire off another Leaf Blade. They have enough for the Earthquake here, but Steelix users love to bait. So I'm feeling bold. I let it go. It's the Breaking Swipe bait. That is massive. This can only be a Breaking Swipe, so I can let this go. And my opponent was banking on getting the shield back, but I've kept my shield advantage. I'm going to send Decidueye into the Vigoroth. In the back, it's Galarian Stunfisk. And this seems like a very winnable game. Decidueye, of course, being the grass type, is going to make Stunfisk not be able to go for its Earthquake. It's going to be forced to go for the Rock Slide, which is a lot weaker of a move and does not get same type attack bonus. I continue to farm with the Decidueye. These Razor Leafs are tearing through the Stunfisk. Stunfisk firing off the Rock Slide. Rock Slide will connect. Decidueye is going to get the farm down, and Vigoroth will be met with an Energy Ball. Energy Ball is going to do a lot of damage here. Vigoroth is going to let that through. Vigoroth forced to fire off a charge move. Is a Body Slam going to be enough here? It is double resisted. Body Slam will not be enough. Vigoroth exits with a fraction of HP, but an Incinerate from Magcargo will take the win. We see a Nightmare lead in the next match. Magcargo into Shadow Swampert. I save switch into Tropius, and my opponent is going to respond with Abomasnow. I'm firing off the Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace does some pretty solid damage. Abomasnow will commit the shield. And honestly, that's all I can really ask for. I baited out their Ice type, hopefully their best counter to my Grass type in the back. And now, I also managed to get a shield advantage. So I'm just going to let it go and then send in Magcargo, and Magcargo is going to look for a massive farm down. Energy Ball does a lot of damage here. Abomasnow, a pretty powerful mon that just does so much damage, and my opponent gets the new mechanic. So they reach that Weather Ball right as the Incinerate KOs. And in the back, they have Shadow Blaziken, but Shadow Blaziken cannot withstand these Razor Leafs whatsoever, and the opponent concedes the match. We see a positive lead in the next match, Magcargo into Steelix. And the Steelix is staying in this matchup, so it looks like whatever they have in the back may not be a big fan of Magcargo either. They just go for the Breaking Swipe right off the bat here. I'm farming up. I'm feeling a bit risky. I'm going for the Rock Tomb bait into the Steelix. Rock Tomb will be shielded. That is a massive bait. Opponent just firing off Breaking Swipe after Breaking Swipe. They're going for another one. Again, I'm going to let this through. I'm just going to fire off the Overheat. Are they willing to go down 2 shields in this matchup? They are not. They're getting KO'd. They send in Trevenant. I send in the Tropius, and this is actually extremely bad. My opponent is running, I would say, a pretty rare team where they're running 3 counters to Decidueye. A lot of teams are running comps that are pretty weak to Decidueye, but this trainer is running 3 Pokemon that are really strong to Decidueye, so my Decidueye doesn't really have anywhere to go. So my best hope is basically just hoping that I'm going to be able to preserve the Tropius and somehow, against all odds, defeat this Trevenant. I'm looking for the farm down. I switch into Magcargo. I'm not able to get the snipe. Magcargo will not make the move. Unfortunately, they're able to save that Pidgeot in the back. I can send back in the Tropius. I'm baiting with the Leaf Blade, but this is a pretty safe shield for my opponent here. They know they have energy on the Trevenant. Trevenant farming up, firing off the charge move here. Is a Seed Bomb going to be enough? They're running Foul Play, and that's going to be all she wrote here, as Decidueye will not be able to get the Razor Leaf farm down here, as Foul Play from the Trevenant will secure the game. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Magcargo into Vigoroth. Again, not a great matchup, so I'm going to save switch into Tropius, and my opponent is going to respond with Gligar. Gligar firing off the Aerial Ace, and I can tank this. Again, the bulk of Tropius is absolutely awesome, and then I can throw 1 Air Slash and go for the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade does some very nice chip damage here. Opponent commits the shield, recognizing that my team comp is pretty soft to Gligar. So they're actually going to look to preserve the Gligar, and I'm just going to let this go. If I shield there, my opponent can just wing attack down and leave with a bunch of energy to threaten the Magcargo, so I'm much better off saving the shield for the Magcargo. Magcargo is going to be met with a dig from the Gligar. I commit the shield. Rock Tomb wouldn't quite be enough to KO, so you know what? I'm just going for it. Straight for the Overheat. Overheat gets the KO. In comes the Vigoroth. I send in Decidueye, and they're not switching out. Oh my goodness, what do they have in the back? We baited out the Gligar, and it looks like the opponent is going to be in trouble. I'm looking for the farm down here. Decidueye gets the farm down in the back. It's a Shadow Swampert, and the opponent concedes a match. Moving into the next match, we see such a good lead. Magcargo into Abomasnow. They safe switch into Vigoroth, and there is nothing I love more in the Sunshine Cup than watching Vigoroth, the most overpowered save switch in the format, just be absolutely helpless against Decidueye. Again, we switch fast enough. This is only going to be a Body Slam, so I can tank that no problem. And I have a Brave Bird. Brave Bird would basically one-shot the Shadow Abomasnow, so not only do they not have switch advantage, but they're going to have to give up shield advantage as well. So everything is looking very nice for me here. In the back, my opponent is running Noctowl. So this this could be a bit of a complicated endgame here. I'm firing off the Rock Tomb into the Noctowl. Noctowl is going to commit the shield. At the very least, my opponent, their attack has been debuffed here, so I'm going to let the Shadow Ball through. And now I'm full sending the Overheat and then looking to send in the Tropius. As Tropius, I know I can withstand some damage from the Noctowl, and the goal is just to make it to an Aerial Ace versus that Abomasnow and preserve the ability to Incinerate down in the endgame if I need to. My opponent is going to send back in the Shadow Abomasnow, and Abomasnow, it's an Ice type, so it does very well into Tropius, but Tropius can return the favor with a super effective Aerial Ace. My opponent throws on alignment, and that Air Slash sneaking through is incredibly helpful as Tropius flips the script and gets the win versus an Ice type. We see a very tough lead in the next match. Magcargo into Shadow Swampert. I save switch into Tropius. Opponent is going to respond with a Shadow Snorlax, and I can win switch advantage here. Tropius up energy. It's a pretty close matchup, but since I have the energy lead, I should just be able to win switch here, and winning switch should be winning the game, because that way I can absolutely shred the Swampert with Razor Leafs from Decidueye. We can both tank a move, so I no-shield their Body Slam, they no-shield my Leaf Blade, but now, when we start throwing second charge moves is when the shields will come out. They shielded, so I'm going to shield back, and I'm going for the Leaf Blade right away. I'm putting pressure on that final shield. How badly do they want switch? They really want switch advantage here. They're able to make it to the Body Slam. I'm going to shield, and this Air Slash should be able to KO. So I'm able to win switch in the back. It's Vigoroth, and I just have this game won. All I have to do is send in Decidueye, but in the moment, I was recording early in the morning hours, and I make a misplay that almost loses me the game. I shouldn't have just thrown away the Magcargo. Magcargo is not very valuable in this game, but it potentially sets up win cons for the opponent. They send in the Swampert, getting absolutely deleted by Razor Leafs, but they make it to a Hydro Cannon. And now, if Vigoroth can make it to a Bulldoze here, I could be in trouble, but this is not enough energy for the Bulldoze. They only made it to the Body Slam, and Decidueye, against all odds and against a bit of a misplay, is still able to get the win. The tough leads will not quit as we lead Magcargo into Vigoroth. I'm going to save switch into the Tropius. My opponent is going to respond with Shadow Gligar. I'm firing off the Leaf Blade here. Leaf Blade into the Gligar will deal some pretty solid damage. Gligar will return fire with the Aerial Ace, and I can let this go. As we've seen, Tropius very bulky, able to withstand that damage, no problem. I'm farming up, and I decide to go for the Leaf Blade as soon as I get it. It is on alignment, but I wanted to try and guarantee a shield from my opponent. The awkward thing is they're going to leave with quite a lot of energy here. They do have enough for the dig, so I will commit the shield. They go for the Aerial Ace bait, and that bait had me thinking that they could get to the dig, but my counts were off. It's only the Aerial Ace, and not only do I not have switch advantage, but I don't have shields as well. They were so weak to Decidueye in the back, but I shielded a move that I shouldn't have shielded, and now I might lose this game because of it. I still have Decidueye in a really good situation, but they have a move on that Swampert. I'm farming up quite a lot of energy here. Vigoroth is only going to make it to a Body Slam. The nice thing is Decidueye does win CMP over the Swampert, but Swampert will be able to KO Decidueye, and I just have to hope that it's in a range where one Incinerate will KO. Energy Ball is going to be shielded, and now the question is, can an Incinerate KO here? Based off team comps, I should have won this game, but as you're gonna see, the Swampert lives with a tiny amount of HP, and double super effective Hydro Cannon will KO Magcargo. Hopping to the final match, looking for a bit of redemption after the throw in the last game, leading Magcargo into Shadow Shiny Gligar. Shadow Shiny Gligar, it's gotta be one of the coolest Shadow Shinies out there. They easily have enough for the dig here, so I will respect it with a shield, and my opponent does not bait. They go straight for it. I'm farming up, and I'm firing off the Rock Tomb bait here. Rock Tomb will not KO. My opponent actually lets that through, and that's a bit awkward. I was going to wait there. I was trying to wait for them to throw 2 wing attacks and then catch onto the Tropius, but unfortunately, they threw after 1 wing attack, so I don't end up getting my Incinerate through. I'm down 2 shields, but I got rid of the Gligar. They send in Swampert. I pivot into Tropius, and in the back, they have Rufflet. That's a pretty cool pick from the opponent, but at this point, I've baited out the Flyer, so even though I'm down 2 shields, I just have this game won. My opponent no longer has a win con in this game. Aerial Ace will hit for super effective damage, of course, but it would not KO, so they're forced to go for the Brave Bird. That does massive damage, KOing the Tropius, and I'm going to send in Magcargo. These Incinerates are shredding through the health bar of the Rufflet. They go for another Brave Bird. They're going to get the farm down with the Swampert. They have 2 shields, but guess what? It's not going to matter. Get absolutely deleted by Decidueye. They go for the Hydro Cannon. They have 1 more, and it's not going to matter, as that Hydro Cannon will not be enough to get the win. All in all, Decidueye is an incredibly fun Pokemon to run in this meta. It's a Pokemon that gets absolutely shredded by any flying type basically whatsoever, but that's where the safe switch of Tropius can be really beneficial to either make a play for switch advantage if the opponent sends in something neutral, or bait out the flyer and then hopefully let Decidueye sweep in the back, because when people are building teams for the Sunshine Cup, a lot of them are not really prepping for Decidueye, so you'll often find teams that are like ABA weak, ABB weak, or sometimes triple weak to Decidueye. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.